Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling slightly off? Not angry, not upset, just uncomfortable. You agreed to something you didn't want to agree to. You felt guilty, even though you weren't sure why. Or you started doubting yourself, even though part of you knew something wasn't right. That feeling isn't random. It's often the result of subtle psychological influence happening in real time. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never talk about. You are being psychologically manipulated every single day, not in dramatic ways, not by villains, and usually not even on purpose. It happens in normal conversations, at work, in families, in relationships, even with people who care about you. And the reason it works is simple. These tactics don't feel like manipulation. They feel like politeness. They feel like pressure. They feel like just how life works. Today, I want to walk you through 6 dark psychological tricks that are used constantly in everyday life. Once you recognize them, they lose their power. And once you hear them clearly, you'll start noticing them everywhere. Let's start with one of the most powerful tools of influence there is: guilt. Not loud guilt, quiet guilt. It sounds like, "I guess I'll just do it myself." Or, "Don't worry about me, I'm used to being disappointed." Or, "I thought you'd care more, but it's fine." Notice what's happening here. They're not asking you to do anything. They're making you feel responsible for how they feel. Most people, especially as they get older, were raised to value responsibility, harmony, and not letting others down. That's exactly why this works. Your brain senses emotional discomfort and rushes to fix it, even if fixing it means crossing your own boundaries. The dark truth is this: emotionally healthy adults take responsibility for their own feelings. Manipulative behavior shifts that responsibility onto you. The moment you feel guilt without a clear reason, pause and ask yourself this: am I being asked, or am I being blamed? That question alone restores clarity. The second trick is urgency. Artificial urgency. It sounds like, "This offer ends today. I need an answer right now." If you don't decide now, you'll miss your chance. Urgency shuts down thinking. When your brain feels rushed, it moves out of logic and into survival mode. You stop evaluating, you stop questioning, you start reacting. That's why urgency shows up everywhere. In sales, in workplaces, in relationships, even in family conversations. But here's something important to remember. Most real opportunities survive a pause. Manipulation does not. If something is truly good for you, it will still make sense tomorrow. The moment someone pressures you to decide before you're ready, ask yourself this: what happens if I wait? If the answer is anger, guilt, or pressure, you're not being offered an opportunity. You're being pushed. The third trick is authority borrowing. This one works especially well on intelligent, experienced people. It sounds like, "Trust me, I've been doing this for years." Experts agree. People like you usually don't understand this. Notice what they're not doing. They're not explaining. They're positioning themselves above you. Your brain is wired to respect authority. Historically, it kept humans safe, but manipulators exploit that instinct. Here's the difference. True experts welcome questions. False authorities discourage them. If someone uses their title, experience, or confidence to silence your doubts instead of addressing them, that's a signal. Respect should never require submission. The fourth trick is emotional withholding. This one is quiet and very powerful. It shows up as sudden coldness, short replies, silence instead of conversation. Nothing is said. And that's the point. Your brain hates emotional uncertainty. So when connection is suddenly withdrawn, you start scrambling to restore it. You replay conversations. You apologize for things you didn't do. You lower your standards just to bring warmth back. That isn't emotional maturity. That's emotional leverage. Healthy people talk through issues. Manipulative people withdraw until you give in. Silence used for reflection is healthy. Silence used to control behavior is not. The fifth trick is false choices. This one limits your options on purpose. It sounds like, "You can either help me or let me down. So you're choosing work over family? Either you agree or you don't care. Notice what's missing. Real alternatives. False choices force you to pick between two bad options, both designed to benefit the other person. Your mind focuses on choosing the least painful option instead of questioning the setup itself. A powerful response is simple. I don't accept those as the only choices. Life is rarely binary. Manipulation often is. The sixth and most dangerous trick is normalizing discomfort. It sounds like, you're too sensitive. You're overthinking it. That's just how things are. Over time, this teaches you to distrust your own instincts. Your discomfort gets reframed as weakness. Your intuition gets dismissed. Eventually, you stop listening to yourself. And that's the real manipulation. Because once someone convinces you your inner signals can't be trusted, they don't need to control you anymore. You do it for them. Here's the truth. Discomfort is information. It doesn't mean you're right, but it does mean something deserves attention. People who benefit from your silence will always encourage you to ignore it. When you put all of this together, something changes. You stop reacting automatically, you pause, you choose. This isn't about becoming cold or suspicious, it's about becoming clear. Real power isn't controlling others. It's not being controlled without realizing it. If any of this felt familiar, you're not weak. You're human. These psychological tricks work best on thoughtful, empathetic people. And once you see them clearly, they lose their grip. So take a moment and reflect. Which one have you experienced the most? And if this helped you see everyday interactions differently, subscribe. Because once you understand how influence really works, you stop being pushed and start standing exactly where you choose.